All right, folks, we have some terrifying breaking news that took place in the middle of the night last night while all of us were sleeping. I'm here to break it all down for you because this is incredibly serious. Remember, like a month or a month and a half ago, when Donald Trump sent the National Guard, our military, into Los Angeles, and all of us were rightly freaked out, rightly angered by this very authoritarian move. Well, get ready for round two because last night, Reuters, along with a number of other different news outlets, reported that the U.S. military is preparing for the National Guard to be deployed into Washington, D.C. this Monday, today. At the time of uploading this, Donald Trump is getting ready to do it, and he's also not really hiding his intentions. He's making it very clear on social media in some different Truth Social posts that I'm going to get into in just a second. But according to Reuters, the U.S. military is preparing for the activation of hundreds of National Guard troops to Washington, D.C., according to two U.S. officials. The officials who were speaking on the condition of anonymity said a final decision was still to be made by Donald Trump, but the troops were prepared to deploy. One of the officials said it was unclear what exactly the troops would do, but could take part in efforts to protect federal agents or even carry out administrative tasks to free up law enforcement. And so far, this is all we know. All the details in the Reuters article I just relayed to you is all we know about the story. But Donald Trump has given us some hints on social media yesterday as to what he's looking to do here. At 11 a.m. yesterday, August 10th, he said, quote, "We're having a news conference tomorrow," as in today, Monday, August 11th, in the White House. "I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately." You might have seen this statement because he's giving a direct warning to homeless people in Washington, D.C. "We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring into zero in the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no more Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. Thanks for your attention to this matter." And he included some photos of, I guess, tents in Washington, D.C. or trash on the road, as in, I guess that's part of crime in Donald Trump's mind, or I assume this is somebody camping on the steps of a building in Washington, D.C. But he's giving a direct warning to homeless people. What he's doing here is making camps for homeless people. That's what he's saying. He's making camps for homeless people, saying, we're going to give you places to stay, but far from the capital. He's going to round them up and then put them into camps. That's what Donald Trump is saying here. He then provided more details on this press conference he's giving. Quote, "The press conference on crime and beautification will be held tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time in the press briefing room, and it will not only involve ending the crime, murder, and death in our nation's capital, but will also be about cleanliness and the general physical renovation and condition of our once beautiful and well-maintained capital. We are not going to allow people to spend $3.1 billion on fixing up a building like the Federal Reserve, which could have been done in a far more elegant and time-sensitive manner for $50 to $100 million. It's just so funny that this guy, who has gone bankrupt multiple times working in construction, thinks he knows more about construction. That's Donald Trump's thing. He just pretends he knows more about everything than anybody and all these experts involved in these fields. The renovation would have actually been better, and we could have saved $3 billion, traffic jams, and never-ending construction. The mayor of D.C. is a good person who has tried, but she's given many chances, and the crime numbers get worse, and the city only gets dirtier and less attractive. The American public is not going to put up with it any longer. Just like I took care of the border, I will take care of our cherished capital, and we will make it truly great. Before the tense squalor, filth, and crime, it was the most beautiful capital in the world. It'll soon be that way again. See you at 10 a.m. tomorrow." So Donald Trump's justification here for sending the military, the National Guard, into Washington, D.C. is that it's dirty and that it's crime-ridden. Now, if you've been to D.C. in the past couple of years, I have. I've been to D.C. plenty of times. I actually used to go to college there for a year. It is a beautiful city. This whole crime infestation that Donald Trump is talking about is utter crap. Matter of fact, the data from the Department of Justice backs that up. In the year 2025, the DOJ put out a press release saying that violent crime in D.C. has hit a 30-year low. This was in 2025. Total violent crime for 2024 in the District of Columbia is down 35%, from 2025, and is at its lowest it's been in over 30 years. And that's according to the Metropolitan Police Department. In addition to the overall violent crime reduction, homicides are down 32%, robberies down 39%, armed carjackings down 53%, assaults with dangerous weapons are down 27%. I mean, a massive drop off in crime in Washington, D.C., a 30-year low. And this is also for 2025. I have some data here that not only was violent crime at a 30-year low for 2024 data, but in 2025, overall violent crime has decreased by an additional 35%. So just give you some facts out there. Donald Trump's whole, we're going to clean up DC, we're going to send in the National Guard, is utter crap. And we know why he's doing this. It's no secret. He can pretend that it's about the data, even though the data contradicts him. But what he's doing here is trying to flex his authoritarian power. Donald Trump's presidency has been one big game in the eyes of him and his administration. They're trying to figure out how far they can push executive power, how far they can expand it, what Donald Trump can get away with, and when will somebody eventually stand up to Donald Trump. So far in the Republican Party, there's been nobody. In the Democratic Party, we have people like J.B. Pritzker, Texas Democrats, Gavin Newsom, all these amazing people who are doing their part, but they're only one individuals. They're not, the federal government, which is controlled by Republicans. Donald Trump's play here is expand federal executive power, see what I can get away with, and now he's sending the military into our capital. That's like a sentence that comes out of a book talking about an evolving dictatorship. I mean, you never think that that sentence would be coming out of my mouth referencing the United States of America. And I want to show you some reactions from people online because obviously Americans are not happy. And this is a great point from Angry Staffer, a huge account on X/Twitter, saying Trump on January 6th, Nancy Pelosi stopped me from sending the National Guard to protect the Capitol, but now Donald Trump has complete control over the DC National Guard, and he's going to send it into the Capitol. Donald Trump is inadvertently debunking his own major January 6th lie by doing this. On January 6th, he said, I couldn't have done it. I was overridden, which is utter nonsense. The president has control over the National Guard in DC. I was overridden. Nancy Pelosi stopped me. And now Donald Trump can do it. Now Donald Trump can deploy the National Guard. Here's another one. This is the Republicans against Trump. The name speaks for itself. They say this is not about crime. Violent crime in D.C. is down 25% in 2025. This is another move by a wannabe dictator who is trying to target blue cities and states and seize control of D.C. and suppress protests against his corrupt regime. And that's exactly right. People in D.C. obviously have a lot of protests there, whether it just be outside of the White House every day or even no Kings protests that have happened in D.C. And of course, cities across the country. That's what Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to seize power, seize as much control as he can to enact his corrupt and unpopular agenda. One more I want to show you. Trump sending the National, this is from Mike Nellis, Trump sending the National Guard and Marines into LA was about normalizing, and I love this point, the military policing of American cities. Now he's trying it again in DC. Reports say he's deploying hundreds of National Guard troops tomorrow morning. Dangerous shit from a president grabbing more power even as his approval rating tanks. And that's exactly right. Donald Trump is going down in popularity. So not only is he trying to cheat in the 2026 elections by redistricting, calling up his Republican buddies in these states and telling them to do him a solid, but now he's deploying the National Guard into our nation's capital. The second time in his presidency that he sent the military after American cities, and I don't anticipate this stopping anytime soon. So I just had to bring you this major news that we got in the middle of the night last night that Donald Trump is preparing to do this. And of course, his press conference is happening later today, at least at the time of filming this. So really just insane. Look, I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this. You guys are always very insightful. I'm happy and excited to hear from you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Drop a like on the video and support me in independent media. It goes such an incredibly long way. But thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.